Right now on Full Custom Garage, Master Metalman Ian Roussel takes on his biggest build yet.
It's love at first sight, man. You could feel this thing coming down the driveway. It was like there was a disturbance in the force.
This is one of my dream projects I've had for many years.
I love this thing.
Ain't she a peach?
I want one.
But Ian's client wants to make the truck even bigger.
What? Count me in.
Just watching them work, I can remember when I used to be able to do things like that. My back is currently messed up right now.
Which leads Ian on a search for some special parts.
This guy has trouble walking, his back, he's got a lot of operations. I think that's gonna save it.
But when Ian returns, things don't go as planned.
I may have mismeasured the back. I'll have to measure it.
John was only theorizing on this whole setup.
Well, I asked him how he's going to do this, and he just says, I'm going to wing it.
That way. It's like the magic carpet ride. It's working. It's working. I'm gonna take up stuntman in my next career. In Fraser Park, California, this fella, John, has got a big project. Of course, typical car guy stuff. We start with the Grand Tour.
I'd say I'm a collector. I have a lot of international harvesters.
I guess you're like into the whole military truck thing.
Well, I have some military stuff. I've gotten rid of a lot of it.
What's with the ammo boxes?
Parts storage.
I guess you got a lot of parts. This is my kind of guy. He's got parts all over the place, a collection of just military stuff. Whoa. So this is like a Jeep front, but it's an
That's a M123A1C ambulance, Vietnam era.
like a MASH Jeep.
I used to have all of them. I had the 715, the 726, and the 724. And as years have gone on, I got a few other little military things laying around.
Holy moly. He said he had a big truck, so I'm thinking like a lifted 4x4 or something. I walk up on it, and this is like massive.
Now, it's a Mack 10-ton, 10-wheel drive, and M123A1 Charlie.
I don't know what all that means, but I could tell it's big, it's heavy duty, it's all business.
It's for hauling tanks or armored vehicles. I ended up getting it from my friend that had a wrecking yard. Cost me a searchlight off of a World War II destroyer that I had.
So, I mean, what's the end game? What's your ultimate plan for this fine
The end
machine?
game, I'm going to use it as a fully self-contained all-terrain motorhome when I want to go camping and or four-wheeling.
Anywhere.
And pretty much anywhere if it'll fit.
I see. The ultimate bug-out vehicle
Yes.
for the end of days. I guess in simplest terms, John wants an off-road RV. What?
Well, I'd like to turn it into an extra cab or a crew cab.
John starts explaining that he actually wants to create a four-door vehicle. He has a bunch of other pickup trucks around, and they're four-door utility vehicles, and he wants to mimic that look with this giant truck. I've done a couple other big truck projects, and what always amazed me is how small they are inside. It's pretty crazy. Even like a passenger car has more room inside than this. So I could see why you want to extend this cab, because you're right up on the wheel. You want to recline a bit.
I'm 6'2", slightly portly, so my belly hits the steering wheel, so I need a little more room in the cab.
What if we just got a duplicate cab and welded that on and made that the four-door
That's
body?
kind of what my idea was.
Okay.
I've got a friend, he's got a cab. Got to go find a command shack for it, which is an 8x8x12 insulated shack.
He wants to put some kind of a camper box on the back.
Military used the command shack for sometimes small weapons, fix-its in the field where they repair them. They call them an M109.
This is par for the course in any project. John's attempting to convince me he's building a practical vehicle out of the most impractical parts I've ever seen. Count me in. John pulls in the driveway with this thing, and it is massive. I saw these stacks coming from a block away. It's cruising across the gate in the front, and it turns the corner. It's a freaking behemoth.
Finally got it down here to Ian's shop. Drove good, no problems. Just bouncy, you can lose weight. It's like those jiggle machines or your bobblehead inside it, because the so-called spring seat doesn't work.
It's love at first sight, man. You could feel this thing coming down the driveway. It was like there was a disturbance in the force. Holy moly!
Made it down here. Got it a little bit painted. Not everything's done, but...
This thing looks great. You did a lot of work to this thing, man.
Well, since Ian came up and saw it, my kids came up and helped finish the systems off, getting the fenders on the hood, some of the wiring and stuff that I couldn't get to. They helped out quite a lot when they came up to help me.
And you said this is a 900 cubic inch V8?
903 cubic inch V8 Cummins.
Yes.
It's a small engine.
Yeah, I could tell, just like the rest of the truck. I had a feeling John was on his way because I came outside this morning and there's this big green box in the driveway and a piece of another truck, so I figured something was happening. So this is crazy. What the heck is this thing?
Last night I had the 109 command shack delivered to his shop. Kind of surprised Ian because he didn't know it was going to show up.
He comes in with this box that doesn't look anything like an RV as far as I'm concerned. Oh, wow. Small arms. What was this thing? Just a storage box?
That was normally used for radio communications or...
Oh, so it's like a workshop. So I guess what I'm mostly turned on to is this is all mil-spec stuff. You look at the box, you know it's well built. It's got hardwood floors, it's insulated, it's fully dialed in with electrics. It's a pretty cool choice. Well, this isn't what I was expecting, but I don't see why not. You were talking about a camper, but now I'm starting to get this vibe. But we have no doors and we have no roof. Also in the yard this morning, there was a big piece of truck. He was talking about making an extended cab, like a 4-door. All I'm seeing here is a piece of a body shell. So this is a duplicate cab to that?
Yes. I tried to get you all the parts, but I came up with a cab. I don't have a roof for this, and I don't have any doors. I'm gonna have to locate some more doors for it, because the doors are the same as the ones that are on that cab there.
Okay. I can see all of this stuff's gonna come together. My whole thing is visually, you know, it's gotta look cool. We could just stack parts and it'll look horrible, but it'll work. I wanna make this thing look as cool as possible. I think it's got some potential. Just seeing that truck in the driveway though, I'm ready to do anything to make this happen. You got 3 pieces. All we need to do is get one of them in the shop.
Which is supposed to be 10.5 feet from the top of the stacks down. If I measured right, it should fit in the doors. If it doesn't, it will make its own hole.
There's no way this box is going on the truck in the shop, but if I can get this truck inside, it's gonna be way nicer. Always wanted to drive one of these things. I've been wanting to drive this thing since I saw it in his driveway. Here it is, I'm ready to roll.
See, it's a little bit, it's not made for people of our size, really. Oh, you can get it.
Made for teenagers, man. This thing is pretty raw. The only thing I can compare it to that I've ever driven is like a race car because it's very mechanical. You feel everything. The clutch on this thing is hard. It shifts like an old truck. I like it. I was just gonna turn this thing around and try to park it in the shop, but as soon as I turn the wheel, power steering. I'm gonna take this thing around the block a few times.
Well, when he's driving my truck around on the lot, it looks really neat. I like it. I didn't like it when he went out and down the street because I didn't know if he was going to bring it back.
This was a full adrenaline rush, you know, testosterone to the brain. Just driving this thing for a couple blocks, I wanted it, man. 900 cubic inches, that's all I have to say. You get that with a manual 5-speed, I don't care if you're going 2 miles an hour. I wanted this truck. Now I just gotta see if this thing will fit in the shop.
Big outside. It looks bigger inside because it just barely fit.
Is it gonna fit?
But it's just a little truck.
I love this thing.
Ain't she a peach?
I want one. That's the test drive. I'm sold. I'll take it. I'll build you 9 cars. I will sign off. I'll build you 9 more cars if you let me have this one.
No, mine. It's my little baby. This is one of my dream projects I've had for many years, and my wife would probably kill me if I came home with 9 more.
After being able to drive this, all of a sudden I got a whole new perspective. I'm ready to rock this thing out, man. This is cool. This big truck is in the house. It's time to get started on it. We got a couple good ideas. All I need to do is make it happen. All right. So we got one big truck, and one piece of another big truck. It's not designed to just mate up to the other one in the way he wants to do it. The good thing about this is that it's an exact duplicate of the truck he has. The rear wall will be retaining, and then the doors our stock doors if we can find a pair. So the good thing is it matches that style perfectly. This is definitely in the way. So John's son said it was a terribly uncomfortable ride down, and now I can see why. With John's back like it is, I don't think this thing's gonna fly. Even if you put a lot of nice cushy upholstery on it. This is just an old design. I think we're gonna have to come up with something better. His main goal here is to be sitting a little bit further back through the back wall that's existing. So I'm gonna have to cut that out. And then there's no more support structure for these. So next step is that these exhaust stacks are coming off. From the minute I saw the truck, the most ominous thing on it was these two exhaust stacks. And to cut them off is kind of going backwards in my opinion. I'm not fully committing, but they do need to move for right now. These are so cool looking, but they're in the way of this modification. We're cutting the back wall out, and that's what these things are attached to, and they're kind of in the way of getting in the back doors. This is some heavy military equipment. I'm not even a gun fan, but after driving that truck, I'm starting to feel like Rambo. Not only were they cool on the truck, but they're even cooler in hand. You know, they say a bird in the bush, that type of thing. These things make good-looking faux weapons. If we don't use them on the truck, I'm keeping them. Every time I wake up, I'm back in Saigon. Looking over the truck, I realized that the whole roof unbolts. I have seen these without roofs, and now I know why. They pop right off just like a Jeep or a Ford Bronco. Just a bunch of series of bolts, and it comes off in one piece. This roof is way off the ground. It's gonna be tough for one person to take it off, but I got a couple of angle irons that I'm using for the rocker panels. I'm just gonna make a slide and slide it away. So, these are actually gonna be the rocker panels. I just use them to slide that roof off, but they gotta stay here anyway. One thing I didn't realize was how much taper there is in this cab. If you look at it, these walls are getting wider as they come back. I knew it was tapered, but not this much. Let's see what we got. Because the cabs are the same, I'm gonna measure this one on the floor just to see how much it tapers. It's a good 8 or 9 inches narrower in the front. I think the easiest option is gonna be to cut this body right in half and open up the triangle. The whole issue here is you have two triangles stacking behind each other, and I'm gonna put a square behind a triangle. First thing is always cutting it apart. Typical story of the butcher in the meat market. He knows how to cut the cow, I cut the car. So I cut everything away that holds this triangular shape in place, and now I can just swing the walls out independently, and the triangle becomes a square. I need to figure out what the taper is in the rocker panels on the existing cab. So my thought was I'm gonna take these big rails, line them up where they're gonna mate to the existing rocker panels, make a few marks, measure it out, and transfer all that down to the floor. The primary purpose is that I'll be able to measure and cut without crawling around under this truck. So you can see the body was tapered, but now the wall cut out, clips into place, make a nice weld right along there. John has a long wish list, but none of it's gonna happen without this cab on the truck. It's a big part, and I gotta get it in place. So John's coming in tomorrow. I think I got a good preliminary start on this, and this is ready to show to him. I bet we could put this body up here tomorrow. Just finish up the last part of this welding. As I'm putting in the last tacks, here comes John.
How are you doing, sir?
Aha, he's back. I ran through the scenario. I built that big subframe, got it attached to the body. I explained everything I did to John, but it's still all up in the air. I didn't double check. I did one quick measurement, threw it on the floor, and I'm putting it on a truck in front of the client. What could possibly go wrong?
Ian gave me a call and wanted me to come down and see the progress on the truck, and think he's gonna put it on today while I'm here.
Pretty much ready to take this cab and put it up top. I got some big extensions for the forklift. I think we could just drive it right on and plug it in.
Excellent, because I'm not gonna lift it. Just watching him work, I can remember when I used to be able to do things like that. Now I don't even want to try to do it. Don't need to hurt myself.
The whole thing with this truck is John has a back injury. He's not able to do it himself. That's why it's here. So I could see he's a little tense. So I'm just gonna use the forklift, get this thing into place. He could sit back and watch the show.
My back isn't working so good and stuff. I have a hard time walking, so I'm sitting here directing from the director's chair to see what he's doing and help him out and give him ideas that he probably has already thought of. As he got the cab up onto the truck, now he's kind of manhandling it in. Those days are gone for me.
Like a glove.
That's almost there.
Looks like I know how to measure after all. What do you think?
It's a big truck to begin with, but now as it's being pieced together, it's getting bigger.
John was only theorizing on this whole setup too, so once I get this body in place, he starts double thinking his measurement on the box that he's gonna put on the back.
I may have mismeasured the back. I'll have to measure it.
His primary concern is he doesn't want this thing overhanging the rear bumper. He did a couple guesstimations. We just gotta verify that it's all gonna work.
Of course, we need to double check my measurements to make sure the command shack will fit on it.
Talking about wanting to see the back bumper, right?
Yep.
Walking back out to the box, I hadn't taken a second look at it, but it really has to match this chassis. Otherwise, we're gonna have to do something. Best case scenario would be that this box fits. We get to keep our body as it is, and we carry on. Well, this is measuring 12'6" outside.
Okay.
So we're gonna go back in, measure the truck. If we got at least 12'6", it's gonna work. If we leave this bracket in place, I'm measuring 12'11" to the end of the bumper, so that's like a 5-inch slack. So we got a few inches to spare. Just like a pickup truck, there'll be a good space between the box and the cab. Structurally, that's gonna work and that's gonna work. The main concern for me is mating up these two bodies. Now we have this mismatch where the old fender used to bolt on. He wanted to retain the vent that was in the cowl.
I was thinking just wanting like making this a solid wall. Bring it up the top.
What if you just framed up 2 sticks and put a window in place, just a solid mount window?
As the two cabs are coming together, he explained to me how he was going to put a window in there or just leave it a flat metal plate.
So see if we just sheet straight through, leave the vent, we'll cover all this straight through. And then if we have a fixed window right there, it makes it look a lot more open air. You still get the support. And then when you're sitting in your driver's seat back here, you're not looking at a wall if you turn your head.
That's a good idea. Excellent.
That'll work.
So it'll look like it was naturally made as a crew cab from the factory.
Setting these two bodies together wasn't a huge challenge in my head, so I'm glad it worked out. It's the unseen that kind of gets you. We got through this part of it. It's very simple sheet metal patchwork now. John's working on getting a couple doors. For me, the big concern, aside from the doors, is the roof. So I just put a little skim of filler over the welded area. It doesn't have to be show car straight. It's gonna be this simple rattle can camo paint job, but I didn't want any of the welded seams to show. All in all, it works cool. I think the big seller in the whole thing is the vents, you know? That little detail right here tells you it's the same truck, the rare factory 4-door version. Everything about this was very straightforward. I think the roof is gonna be a different story. John and I kicked back and forth a few ideas, but nothing makes a decision like seeing the mock-up. So, in the industry, we call this the roof holder-upper tool. So, not only do I have to repair this dent, but I gotta change the profile of the sidewalls. And I don't think all my martial arts experience in the world gonna fix. Oh, look at that. It's almost perfect. What do you think, Hellhound? Is it gonna work? Just like the other projects I've changed the roofs on, this is a really hard shape to make. Thus, our blueprint will begin. The thing is, you almost can't use this because the taper is now different. So to just splice in a small sheet, it's probably just easier to make a whole new side profile and top skin. All through here, this is enemy territory. John was asking about maybe putting a higher crown towards the rear. If you're looking at the truck, he wants this to be maybe a little bit taller. The whole idea being up there in the mountains, it does snow fairly heavily, as infrequently as it may be. He's talking about more of a wedge, let it slide off when the sun comes out. What this means is, as simple as the body and big as it was, this roof is gonna be way more complicated. I pretty much gotta build 90% of it from scratch. So this should pop right back in place. So that fits, that's a good thing. After we cut out that area down there, now we have to fill in this area here. It's much bigger than it was. Without the door and that window, you know, I could detach that door and move it back and forth, worst case scenario. We need all the pieces. I gotta figure out what we're gonna do before I can do anything more on this roof. Ever since John dropped off this cab with no doors, I've been looking for some. I put the word out to all my friends. My friend Tom says he's got somebody who just might have some. Tom and I walked down the driveway of this otherwise innocent-looking suburban homestead. You walk around the back and it's on. I'm in my element. Guy's got cars, trucks, hot rods. Treasure, man. He's got all the good stuff.
Hey, Bob.
How's it going?
Is he in?
Hey,
Ian,
man.
Bob?
Yeah, I recognize your
Travis?
car.
Oh,
Seen
yeah.
it around.
Ian, Travis?
Right on, man. Cool. So you got a bunch of cool stuff here.
I collect cars and stuff, but kind of toned it down in the last few years. But mostly what I like. I build something, hang on to it for a while. If I like it, I'll keep it. Yeah, Ian's been to a lot of this old stuff. He really liked the place, and he was interested in looking at all of it. So I showed him around and told him a little bit about all the projects going on, and some that are just sitting, some that are being worked on, and he really likes those.
Part of the cool thing about coming to somebody's stash, somebody's hoard spot, is you get the grand tour. It's a typical car guy scenario. He's just got a lot of stuff. This thing is right up my alley, man. It's like a Plymouth or something.
Yeah. 36 Plymouth or
anything
whatever
with
it
the
is.
bubble fenders is cool. You never know what's out here. He's got a pretty cool mid-20s Dodge, almost like a Ford T I wanted to check out. That's really what I like, the unique stuff. What's up with that bomb?
Oh, yeah, it's actually a fuel tank. It goes under the wings of a plane, and it's shaped like a bomb, so when they're empty, they used to drop them in the ocean. And that's why they have the fins on them, so they would go and fly down in the water instead of just tumbling. And then they would retrieve them later.
I was mostly looking at this thing because I think it's right up John's alley. This would look pretty cool, like the Russian military parade, the big truck with the big bomb on top. This would be perfect. Oh, I'm glad my friend John I'm building the truck for isn't here, because he'd probably want to take this home. This is cool. But if you got a couple other parts for those trucks, I'd like to check them out.
Yeah, I got some doors.
That's what Tom said.
Yeah. Here's the
Okay.
doors here.
They look, yeah. Well, they look like they're from a military truck. They got some numbers on them. They look just like the other ones. Looking at these things, it was obvious they were just parted out. These things are not scrap. The glass is intact. The window rolls up and down. There's 3 doors, so apparently somebody must have tried a 4-door conversion and failed. So I could make this one happen with these extra parts.
Yeah, I'm not doing anything with them, so.
Yeah, right on. No, this looks like exactly what we need. So John's the guy. He knows all this
Yeah.
military stuff. You ask him what truck it is, he's rattling off like 50 different numbers. So I'm gonna send him a couple pictures of it, and I'm sure he'll give it the yay or the nay. So these doors have some numbers on them. I'm not sure what they mean. I'm gonna send him some pictures. He'll know if they'll work. So he's not getting back to me, but we kind of need a seat.
I've got seats. They're in the shed here.
Most of my friends, their places look kind of just like this.
Yeah, good.
Just a lot of good stuff.
Yeah, it's fun.
Bob's like, well, shoot, I got tons of seats. I guess he's got a whole bunch of stuff in this shed. Bob opens the door, and I'm looking at these seats. They're kind of like Recaro style. You know, they look like something that you'd get out of a catalog, mid-'80s. You got the velour finish on them. In a pinch, I'm sure they'd work. We need something a little more commercial, something that are heavy duty. Well, what's that one? That looks more like a military seat. But these have airbags in them.
Yeah.
Well, that might work.
Actually, I got them from the same guy I got the bomb and the doors from. And they're suspension seats, so he says, oh, these are gonna work really good.
These things are buried in the corner. We take them outside, and I'm looking them over, and it's exactly perfect. It's almost identical to what John has in his truck, but there's two of them. They're on airbags, and they're like new underneath. Because this guy has trouble walking, his back,
Oh, really?
He's got a lot of operations. I think that's gonna save it.
Well, you need something like this in a truck like that.
Bounces around
Yeah.
like crazy. I took a picture of the doors for him, but I'm not telling him about this. It's gonna be a surprise. He's gonna totally dig
Oh,
these.
good. Yeah,
This
cool.
is perfect. It's like the lifesaver scenario.
Well, I'm glad you can use them.
Oh, my phone's beeping. John was probably deep in his library doing research for the past 20 minutes, but he's convinced these doors are gonna work, and I think his word is good.
It was nice that Ian could use this stuff, and like I said, I wasn't doing anything with it, and anytime I can help somebody out with stuff, I do.
I'm excited to get these to the shop and surprise John. So I got the two cabs welded together. It's looking good. John's coming in today. I got the doors. I'm not even gonna tell him about the seats. That's kind of a surprise. I just want him to come in, see what's going on, you know, feed him little pieces at a time.
Look what I got.
All right. Hysterical vehicles.
Hysterical. Oh, upside down. Well, that's all right. When I first came in, I knew he was working fast, but I didn't know he was working fast.
I got some work done on the cab. I got the roof started.
Yeah, it looks really good.
Yeah, we just needed some doors to wrap that up.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Now I don't have to look around as hard. Glad that he got the doors, was able to find them, because they're out there. They're just kind of hard to find.
He was really trying to come up with some, and I guess the guys who want them want to hold on to them. So it was cool that I got them. It's gonna really help streamline the process. Now let's see if them doors are gonna fit. I'll push this up against the truck.
You get out of the way then.
We go to put this thing on, of course, right away. I'm expecting the worst, like it's not gonna fit. No, these hinges are all ganked up.
You want a little hammer to tap it in? Oh, there you got it. Almost there.
Yeah, these have just never been put together. Stubborn. All right.
Emergency persuasion was indicated.
That part worked. Hey,
All right, whoa.
yeah, door gaps are good. That's good. All we have to do is loosen up the hinges, align them, and it popped right on. It was the right door for the job. Window rolled right up, and the door latched tight.
Ah, that looks really good. Now it's looking like a truck again, a big truck.
If you're cool with just letting me go on that window detail, I can build that out, but what I really needed your input was how much you wanted that back of that roof to come up.
Okay.
Since John wants this thing angled up in the rear, that's the first thing we need to mock up, is exactly what the roof pitch is gonna be. So, a couple envisioning tools, couple stacking blocks, and we're on to the mock-up.
When we started talking about the roof, Ian and I didn't really want to have a flat roof, and Ian came up with this idea of matching the roof to the contour of a portion of the front hood.
Well, what I'm seeing, style-wise, see how that hood does that little detail?
Yeah.
If those two angles kind of flow together, like if you were to put, this is one of my envisioning tools. You gotta squint one eye and then you take a lean. So if you look at that angle,
Right.
and you transfer that angle to the roof, so I think that that has to come up about 6 inches minimum.
Yeah, I think you're probably right.
There's like this cool curved angle in the hood. I think I'm gonna try to translate that to the look in the roof.
Yeah, that looks pretty good. You have to come down and look and see if you concur.
That's the way I do it. Take a bunch of sticks, stand back, look at it, and if it's good, we go forward. Now, I think that angle though, see, even from here, looking at
Yeah,
that,
that
and then
looks
look at
good.
the break on the hood, more matching what's going on the hood. This detail is a subtlety. It matters to me because I'm trying to make the coolest truck ever. And that's what you gotta do.
What are you going to use out of the original roof? Just the two ends that are up there after you cut it?
Those compound curves at the back corner are really hard to make.
Okay.
So I'm gonna use those, and I'm gonna use the detail with the weather strip that goes to the windshield. The main thing I'm trying to do here is just establish some kind of a strong base that we can build off of. Extending the cab means this roof is pretty darn big. It's about 24, 25 square foot. So I need to build a structure that's super strong. It's pretty simple in concept, but the actual layout is pretty complex. The sides have to be parallel. The whole roof surface has to be smooth. You don't want it to look all freaked out and wavy, and that's really what this inner skeleton dictates.
When he finally finished getting all the ribs kind of mocked into place, we stepped back and took a better look at it.
So if you're happy with this layout,
Yeah.
I can go ahead and I'll make a whole skeleton structure before we do any skinning.
Yeah, I'm glad you got the other doors so you could put it together. Now it looks really, now you can really see what it looks like. It's starting to take shape.
It's John's truck, so he's loving it. He's enjoying the process. I think it's coming together a lot quicker than he expected, so I'm just gonna keep on trucking. So we're up here in the highest elevation of the shop I've ever worked before. John liked the pitch of the roof and the way I was going about it, so he said, take the reins and go with it. So I went with it. I went double strength. I even went triple strength. I set up all those 1-inch risers, got the bows across the top. I put 45-degree gussets on every upright, and then I went in with 1x2 underneath those ribs, and that aligned everything, made a 3-inch gap to put tons of insulation in it, and it's super strong.
Now that the cab has been stretched and the roof has been stretched, I'm kind of worried what it's going to look like overall when it's done. Is it going to look like it was made that way, or is it going to look like somebody piecemealed something together?
The center of the roof is super simple. It took about 10 minutes, just cut them, screwed them in place just to hold them. The sides are a different story.
I want to see how he makes the nice curves in the metal so it will look like it was made that way from the factory. How are you going to make sure the radius is correct on this?
Just like everything else, I'm gonna wing it. The least measuring possible and the most inspiration yields fantastic results. But I will take 2 measurements. See that? We know the curve is gonna start about 11 inches here, and it's gonna start about 5 inches there. And those are the only 2 marks I'll use. One time through the roller, it'll be a perfect fit.
Well, I asked him how he's going to do this, and he just says, I'm going to wing it. So I'm going to watch how he wings it.
So we're here. We're coming in through here. We got the 5. We're gonna come in. We're gonna curve this like that, right?
Okay.
Left, right, left, right. Straight back through, and on the truck.
The hard part from what I'm seeing is how is he going to join the side, roll the metal, and have it join onto the roof itself? Oh, each time you tighten it up, it'll make the redo the curve?
A little bit tighter.
Okay.
But see what I did? I only tightened the 11 side.
Uh-huh.
See, it's almost at a 90 degree.
Right.
It's almost at a 90 degree, so it's a section of a cone.
Okay. Well, that came out good.
So it's a little imperfect right here. Not really measuring. Just trying to make it work.
He rolled it looked really nice. And he slapped it up there, and it fits. It looks good. Looks like it was made for the truck. Of course, you know I'm learning all your trade secrets.
The whole thing with this little skin mock-up thing is to get a side profile of it. And what's gonna complete that is the rear quarter. There's that extension that comes up above the rear window. It's about an 8-inch vertical rise. The trickier part is the corners. If I tried to make this in one piece, it would have been a whole bunch of nonsense. I'm gonna split it up just like I did with the sides. It's gonna be way easier to fit it in that way.
I noticed he saves a lot of parts out of what he was using off my cab. Some of the corners he had to use.
I always try to reuse the toughest parts that I would have to make. So this compound curve, if you think about it, it's a bowl. It's a big dome shape, and doing that requires a lot of stretching and shrinking, a lot of finish work. I'm gonna minimize that by using it from the old roof because it looks perfect.
He took an 8-inch piece of metal and he rolled it into a giant donut. And then he marked out the number of inches he needed to do 2 corner sections, cut it, put one corner on the driver's side of the cab to make sure everything fit, tacked it in place, and it fits. He knows what he's doing. Kind of an artist at work.
That was the savor of the game, because to build those 2 corner pieces would have kind of been a big task. Might ended up using the dog bowl or some other non-traditional approach. So this is the primary layout. Just like with the skeleton, I want you to see how the skin was. If you're cool with that shape, how it jogs, you know, all these lines will be trimmed back. This is just the generic layout of how the skin will fit on the skeleton.
I'm good with the way it's going. It's looking really nice.
I like it. Gives the truck a really aggressive nose-down look, and I think it's cool.
Can't wait till you get it done. Feeling really good, the way the roof is coming together, the way the whole truck's coming together, and how fast he's doing it. I'm having fun watching.
There's a few more details I gotta get to finish up this truck, but before I do that, I wanna get the truck outside and put the box on. We made our measurements, but I've been wrong before, and the whole thing is trying to pull it out of this shop in one piece. Sometimes you just need a friend with a big old hook. Oh yeah, there it is now. Put in a request. This is a huge task, but luckily, I got friends in high places. The crane saved the day. I can't lift this box, and I don't really have anything to lift it up that high, so without Leonard, we were stuck in the mud. The cool factor is this box was made to be lifted by a crane. So it's got these mounting points already put in, there's D-rings in place. Simple process of slinging it and lifting it up. It's hard to know how much this thing weighs, but gauging by Leonard's experience with his crane, he's estimating to be 2,000, 2,200 pounds. That's like a small car. That way. It's like the magic carpet ride. I've been waiting my whole life for this. I've always wanted to take a magic carpet ride, and I guess this is as close to it as I'm gonna come, so I'm gonna take full advantage of the moment. It's working. It's working. Well, I needed to get on top of the box to hook up all these straps, and I figure instead of getting back off the box and then getting back on the box, I'm just gonna stay on for the ride. Keep it in, keep coming. 6 inches. Oh, drop it. Everything seems like it fits good. We got plenty of room between the cab. We're not hanging over the back bumper. And I think the roof height looks very proportional with the box height. This box was meant to be mounted to one of these trucks, so it's a perfect fit. I could get used to this. I'm gonna take up stuntman in my next career. The good news is, John's truck is finished. It's looking good. Bad news is, he can't be here to check it out. He's in the hospital. He had to have emergency surgery. His back hasn't been very good through this whole ordeal. The only way to get in touch with him, I figure, is to give him a Skype call. So how you feeling, man? Everything went okay?
I've been struggling for a while. You see me when at the shop, I'd end up sitting down and stuff. Just trying to walk was a pain. Well, the back finally let go. I saw my doctor and he looks at me and he goes, "No, you're being admitted to emergency surgery tomorrow."
Well, better sooner than later.
It's a little bit worse shape than I thought.
Well, like you said, you're the stubborn one, so. Well, the good news is your truck is finished. Everything is done, man. It's looking good.
Perfect.
John hasn't seen the truck in its finished state, so I sent him some photos and I could see him light right up.
It's got the picture you sent me. Those look good.
Yeah,
I can't wait to get into it.
John loved the side window. His request for the exhaust placement was right on. John wanted to one-up it by moving it all the way to the rear bumper and turning it up over the top of the box.
The details that we were talking about and you came up with, they really came out good. They made the truck look better overall, more functional, I think, overall, too.
So I was able to find these 2 air ride seats from a semi-truck. So I plumbed those into the airline. They run off the stock air system. They're fully adjustable, lumbar support, armrests, the whole 9 yards, man.
Oh, a surprise.
Yes,
Excellent.
so-
I'm going to have a soft riding truck.
Exactly. Before, you know what it was like driving around. It was a total banger. So now
Yes, it
everything has suspension, including
It
the
was a
seats.
bobblehead truck. Now it's going to be more
Right.
comfortable.
Yeah, it'll be totally smooth. It's ready to
Right.
go.
Next project is figured out a lift gate to get me into the cab.
Sure, right. That's the thing. The never-ending project.
Well, thanks for all your work and effort and put things together for me. I can't wait to get there. I got to get better so I can go check out my truck.
That's it, man. We'll meet up whenever you're ready. It was good to get this project completed for John. This was, one of those bucket list things. He had this thing on his mind for a long time. I think it's really going to give him some inspiration to get healthy.